Again, my name is Alexis Ferrer. I work for System Seed, and for today, my lightning talk, I chose to do a presentation about managing cultural diversity because I think it's an important topic nowadays. Um, so first of all, with globalization, um, companies are now allowed to they can easily or easier reach new cultures or geographic places. But also means that companies need to focus on cross-cultural marketing to make sure they fit with the market expectation and the new target expectations. Because obviously expectations are different between, let's say, the UK and China. And then it's also related to cross-cultural management. They should focus on that as well, because then they can deal easier with a diversified workforce. Because having inside an organization having different culture can help you work with different countries as well. Or you need to do cross cultural management even with if you have a consultant abroad to have a local knowledge. So first part about cross-cultural marketing. So first of all, this marketing can help create greater engagement, but also it creates deep and lasting meaning for when you focus on the culture. So companies need to always remember that a culture keeps changing, so it's always moving. Um, this is I'll explain that later. But organization need to be aware of the latest trend. This is important if you want to increase your sales on the short term. If you follow the trends, if you want to increase your short term sales. But if you want to focus on the long term, you should focus even more on the values within cultures and the change, but more slowly. But then they can allow you increasing your to increase your sales on the long term. The benefits for the brand, the benefits of cross cultural marketing is to have a better understanding about how the marketplace for their products and services are shifting when consumer context and assumptions change, and where the opportunities for growth are. So a link. I give you a link with examples of failures. So companies that try to enter a new market and fail. So I'm going to give you a few examples now, because I think it has a better impact when instead of just me telling you shouldn't do that and you should do this. I think it's even better to give you example of a company that failed, just so you understand that it's crucial to take that into consideration. So first of all, Coca-Cola. That I think everyone knows Coca-Cola. They tried to enter the Chinese market at the very beginning, and they tried to find words sounding like Coca-Cola. The problem is that the meaning of the two characters they put together, or the different characters they put together to do sound like Coca-Cola, meant bite the wax tadpole. Obviously, it was not the meaning they wanted. So after finding this out, they had to change. They had to change the name, and they went for something less similar regarding the sound, but that had a better meaning, because obviously they went for something that means happiness in the mouth. So it sounds completely different from Coca-Cola, but at the same time, is it more important to have a name with meaning for people, or to keep the name that comes from the US, for instance? So that was Coca-Cola. Then Fiat. Fiat made an advertisement for Italy, the Italian market, for a car they launched, and they used they used Richard Gere, which is an actor, and it was supposed to be a good thing for the ad in Italy. But with social media and all the media we have, all the channel, Chinese people ended up seeing this advertisement from Fiat, and it appeared that this actor is apparently publicly supporting the Dalai Lama, which created a bit of I don't know, a bit of concern from the Chinese people. And on social media, Chinese people started saying, I will boycott Fiat. So So yeah, you have when you launch an ad or product or service, you should always make sure that it fits with all your markets or targets, or at least it won't create problems with another market. It will be neutral at the worst. Regarding Parker Pen, they tried to yeah they launched a ballpoint pen in Mexico. They wanted to do a slogan. The slogan in English was it won't leak in your pocket and embarrass you. And as the word in Spanish embarazar looks the same than embarrass in English, they used it in the sentence. The problem that this word means get pregnant, impregnate. So at the end, the sentence, the Spanish sentence for Mexico meant it won't leak in your pocket and make you pregnant, which is I guess that was not good for the image. And you can think that if they had used a professional translator or someone in the staff that is Spanish, they could have avoided being embarrassed, and basically could have avoided different problems and doing a marketing campaign again from scratch and spending money for nothing. So yeah. And the last example, because I come from France and I heard about it, I remember that was not a scandal, but people were talking about it. A German company, Audi, named the new electric car e-tron. But if you read it with when you're French and you read it, it's like e-tron or e-tron, and in French language it means basically shit. So you would never call a product shit in the UK or something. So that was not they didn't think about that. Maybe they didn't have anyone French in the team to think about it, and maybe they didn't ask the right people or consultant on the local market. And obviously they didn't change the name. That means they didn't really care. Maybe it was too expensive to change the whole campaign. So it's still this name. So the most important to remember about cross-cultural marketing is that you will never please everyone with one ad. So there was an advertisement from HSBC that showed that. So if you look on the right, the image, you can see that one haircut can have different meaning, or security can be seen differently. If you're like children, if you're in IT, if you're it's different. Same for marriage, and there were a lot of advertisement like that from HSBC for at some point, and I think they're very interesting. They show you that the meaning is always different between the countries or between your background and the culture. So you should always make sure that you target well and you focus on pleasing that specific target. Make sure you don't offend the other culture, at least the one you're targeting in the same time. Let's say you're present in 10 countries. When you launch an advert in one of the 10 countries, make sure you're not putting an advert that could offend one of the 9 other countries. And then you have to be careful about cultural differences, because you can if you're careful you can save your brand image, because obviously the pen story in Mexico it's not good for your image. People are gonna think that they didn't care about the country. They just put a product in the country. They're just trying to make something Google translation, and that's it. And then once you have problem with your brand image in the country, it's hard, and hard means most of the time expensive to have your image back, and you have to do the whole marketing campaign again. Sometimes it's even easier to just give up everything, and you lose less money than doing everything from scratch again. How to avoid this? How to avoid the problem we saw just before? There are three potential solutions. The first one is just don't try to go to cultures that you don't know. Just stay in your country and expand nationally, which is easier because there are different culture within the country, but still there's you have common points between people. It's still easier to manage. Second one is to ask help from consultant, people who have the knowledge of the local market, local cultures. And the third one is to make sure they have a diversified team. So that means that within your workforce, you would already have a lot more knowledge than just having people from the same background or same culture. And you wouldn't need to go to consultant as often as you need when you don't have a diversified team. Um, and that's why I wanted to talk about something else that is linked, and it's the last bit of this lighting talk. It's the cross-cultural management. Um, so obviously, cross-cultural management it gives the power of diversity if you operate cross-cultural management in your company. So the diversity can bring, as I said before, more point of views, and then it can improve the overall creativity in your organization. It can help the previous failure we saw. Basically, yeah, if the company going to New Mexico had a Spanish speaking staff in the team, that would have never happened. Um, that also brings more skills because according to following the country you're from, sometimes you're better at things. You know more about things than people in other countries. If you take two example, you take when two companies are merging or doing a joint ventures, they can improve the competencies and capabilities because they use the synergy effect between these two businesses because they have different activities and they can share together the information, the knowledge they have in order to reach a new market. Um, and the power of diversity, because internationalizing a company is not just making sure your product is going to be sold in another country abroad. You also need to think about how you're going to enter the market. You also need to think maybe I should get people in my team or hire someone from there to do my work there because you have to be aware that you're not from that culture, so you won't be successful alone. Um, and so the challenges of diversity is before globalization and all this internationalization of the companies and everything. In companies, managers used to the work of the job of managers was just basically manage different personalities within a team. So you have someone who is quiet, someone who is talking a lot, someone who tends to be angry easily. You have to manage that. And most of the time it was in a small number of cultures, but different personalities. Now, and in companies nowadays, you have to manage these personalities, obviously, but also within a wide mix of cultures. And it becomes even more complex to be a manager with that. That means you need a very strong, you need a strong management in your company. You need to be trained, but also you need to make sure that the management is focused and personalized. So you have to, you can't just apply the same rules or you can't act the same way with everyone when you have people coming from different cultures with different personalities. And um, the last bit is you need to be very careful when you have a team with different cultures, with misunderstanding and conflicts, because people don't work the same way. I remember in my in university I used to study cross cultural management, and they showed us a documentary about that, and it's crazy how the difference between, for instance, in Japan, the hierarchy is very important. You have to be very respectful when other countries, it's there is one boss, and otherwise everyone is at the same level, basically. So that was for the cross cultural management. So thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, you can ask now.
Thanks, Alexis. I believe it will become even more complex if the company is remote.
Yeah. It's a well, it's sure. If you think about a company distributed team, it's it's hard because I think it's even harder to understand the behavior, the personality of someone when you are talking through media on the computer. It's even harder because you don't have the gesture, you don't have the, I don't know. It's yeah. I believe it's even harder. Yeah. Any other question?
Um, let's image that, for example, I have a company that have a very popular brand, but it is only a local brand, only, for example, for my country. Uh, and when I chosen the name of company, I didn't think about any other countries. But after some time, I want to make my company is global, but the name is not good for other countries. Can I do something that uh, don't lose my popularity in my country, but and get popularity in other countries?
Yeah. So yeah, but there are good example for that. For instance, I don't know if you know Vauxhall. I don't know which name is the most famous, but I know that when I was in France, it was Opel, which is Opel, the brand. And when you go to England, usually those cars are named Vauxhall. I don't know if there is a reason, but it shows that you can have the same car with two different names. Um, it's the same for deodorant, Axe. I think there is another name in the US for this deodorant. It's yeah, basically it's you yeah you can change. You can open a new business unit in another country, in a new country. You can do that and change the name. It's not a it's not a problem, and I think it's even recommended in some cases. Um, but yeah, for the if you think about the if you think about the car from Audi e-tron, I really think, from my point of view as a French person, I really think it's yeah, it means shit. I think it's a mistake. They didn't think about it, and it's better to change the name and create a bit of confusion because you're coming in a new country with another name, so they don't know that it's the brand from this country coming. But it's better to create a bit of confusion rather than having a name that doesn't sound good and won't sell your product. Did I answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, yeah. We can change the name, yeah. But maybe, obviously, if the name cool, if you have a cool name, obviously better have one name in the world,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
it will be very very nice.
Yeah,
But yeah, but we need to think about it before the make company.
but that's the thing. When you are a big company and you're launching a product, but you are already international company, then you know that your product needs an international name as well. In French we say euphonique. I'm not sure you say euphonique in English, but yeah, you need a name that goes everywhere and won't be hard for French people to say or for Chinese people to pronounce. You need um, um, a name that goes everywhere when you're an international company and you launch a product because you know this product will go international. However, when you start a company, a small company, you can't know if you're gonna go international at some point. So it's hard to decide. So I think you'd rather start with a local name, and if really you go international and you're sure it's gonna work, then change the name for an international name. Um, yeah, I think that's the best way.
Okay, thanks.
It almost sounds like a useful service to develop for people. You put in a word for a new company or a new product that you're thinking of making, and the service replies with if it's like a swear word or if the brand is already taken and if the domain is available, things like that, but specifically around that cultural sensitivity.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't get the question. Can you repeat?
It was less of a question, more of a statement. I was just
Okay,
saying
yeah.
it sounds like a useful service that someone should develop, where you can put a name of a new business or a name of a new company in, and it will tell you if that name is inappropriate.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I never thought about this. Yeah.
That's interesting, but that would be complicated. Like think about e-tron example.
Yeah.
You would type it in, it would be fine, I guess, even for friends. But when you pronounce it, the way you pronounce make it sound weird in French, right?
Yeah.
Well, not weird,
But
just.
but I
But that's
think,
pronunciation, isn't it?
sorry.
But that's related to pronunciation, right? Not to the word.
Oh no, it's written the same way. It's ETRON. If you take
Oh,
off
really?
the thing between the
Okay.
yeah, it's that's the like for such a big company. I don't like it looks. I don't know. I don't want to do assumptions, but it looks like they didn't ask the French business units or the French branch before launching. Just launched an international product, and yeah, they just kept the name and didn't think that in a country it could cause
Yeah, I
a
would
problem.
pay a lot to see how French representation of Audi would got new cars.
Yeah, what?
Say we have to sell this shit.
Yeah, yes, it's just yeah. That example is, is a very good one because yeah, basically you're saying yeah, I have a new product to sell and it's called shit. So
I just have a quick question. I would like to know what the Chinese translation of Coca-Cola is now. Like if it's not actually onomatopoeically Coca-Cola, do you know what it is?
I have no, I don't know the new name, but yeah, as I read on the internet, they changed the name and it doesn't sound Coca-Cola now. It sounds something else, but the meaning is good, which is more important. But yeah, but we should check.
Ah, yes, I found it. Okay, so they changed it from Coca-Cola to Kekukela.
Yeah.
And Kekukela is what they need to, yeah.
You see, so it's slightly different. Well, it's not Coca-Cola, but yeah, the meaning obviously you don't want it to mean something bad.
Yeah, I find these things fascinating.
But so yeah, it's a whole sector. Yeah, it's more and more jobs in that. Even in my studies, I guess in the past the business studies you didn't have to study this, and my university I had a whole module about that, about cross-cultural management during 6 months I was studying this. You have to, yeah, everyone is gonna work with people from different culture and different countries now. So
I'm sure that in that class everyone had a really good laugh about Itron.
yep. Any other question, guys? Nope. All right. So if there is no question, I'll just stop and thank you for your attention again.
Thanks, Alexi.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers.